Kicking it back tonight on the Calcio Guys, Adriano, Janny. I'm Nicholas with Fernando, the host of Kickin Cleats podcast. LAZIO, making his debut on our podcast. Fernando, welcome to the show, and also how's it going?
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm good. Actually, more relief picking up that point against Udinese. I was a little scared, to be really honest, but I'm good. Thank you guys. How are you guys?
Good,
Not
good.
too bad.
It's a long time. It's a long time coming. Like I said before coming on the show, Fernando. We've followed each other for a while, and it's finally good to see you, not in person, but over video, and shoot the shit, talk culture.
Yeah, likewise, guys. Likewise.
I've been doing okay. I had a wedding on Saturday, went to the Impact game yesterday, so my voice is shot. I'm not sick. It's just it's gone. So you guys are gonna have to deal with the raspiness of my voice for this podcast.
Disclaimer.
So, Fernando, what we like to do before we get into the serious talk about Lazio, since it's your first time on, we want to know, your story, your love story with Lazio. Your username on Instagram is LAZIO-UDINESE. So, tell a story behind the name. You have 12,000 followers. You like to do a lot of reels, a lot of Italian comedy. Just give us your whole story right now. Just life story, beginning to end on it. But give us, give us a Lazio part, your personal Instagram, your Kickin Cleats podcast. Just we want to hear about that.
Yeah. So my love for Lazio. Well, I was born in Ferentino, the Provincia di Lazio. I came to Canada when I was 2 in a little wine and cheese crate. No, came to Canada when I was 2, but. My family was just kind of all mixed. So I got my uncles who were Milan fans because they used to play for the youth team back in the day. Got my cousins who were Roma fans, all over the place. So my nonno stuck to his guns, and he says no. So Laziale, Frosinone, obviously, but Lazio was kind of thing. So I kind of stuck with him. Me and him were kind of thick of thieves against the world in the sense in our family, right? Just because of the different teams. But I think that the love, I said, you know what? No, this really grabbed me from the heart, literally. Was back in, I think, 2012, 2013 season when I actually went to go see a game. It was Lazio Genoa. And man, oh man, what a game it was. We ended up losing 1-0. But Close was there. We had a good group of guys still, but it was great. And the chants and the crowd, and obviously stuck out as a sore thumb. But that moment on, I was like, okay, yeah, I know for sure. Like I'm a Laziale for sure. The name LAZIO-UDINESE, obviously Close being my favorite Lazio player. I mean, there's obviously Ciro Immobile, Mancini back in the day, all that stuff. But for me, Close was just a guy that, yeah, it was a nonno, let's say, when he came in a little older. But he got the job done. There's no drama. He just got in, get out. And that's kind of just started the name Lazio-UDINESE. And then I just did the comedy with that. And everyone just started calling me Lazio, right? And then fast forward about, I would say, 2 years ago, pandemic was heavy into that. And I love, obviously, calcio and soccer and everything like that. And I didn't want to confuse people with my comedy with my soccer. So I had to come up with a calcio or soccer podcast or whatever. So I tried to think of names, and I was living with my grandparents at the time, and it was kind of a mess. Cleats were everywhere. I was kind of looking for things to do in that time frame. And my nonna, who's still alive, she's a tough SOB, that lady. She hits Cleats so hard. You son of a bitch. So she ended up putting a dent in one of the doors. That's how hard she kicked it. And that's where the name came, Kickin Cleats. So grazie nonna, grazie mille. And from there, I kind of put the two worlds together with the comedy and the soccer into one, right? So they go hand in hand. My love for Lazio, my love for soccer, and then comedy and everything just came together, right? And kind of this big I call it a beautiful mess. But at the end of the day, it makes sense to me, and and thank you guys for all the support and everything like that. So it's just a great journey at this point. So yeah.
Well, I mean, 12,000 followers is nothing to scoff at. I mean, it's not just us. I mean, you got plenty of people supporting you and enjoying your work, right? So if I was listening properly, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So you said your nonno was a Laziale, right?
Yes, my nonno, yeah.
Yeah. So were you, or I'm not saying were you around, but like, was he around, and were you able to enjoy like Lazio's La Scudetto back in 2000 with him and stuff? Is that something that you guys managed to celebrate together, or like, do you remember having you? I know you said you recently kind of started following them, but I mean, if he was a Laziale, did you have like any idea what was going on with him during that time or anything like that? Or
yeah. I mean,
I know it's a bit of a strange question. I apologize.
No. It was I was a little younger, but still, yeah. I was still kind of like admiring Lazio at the time, but I was just kind of like, I wasn't bored watching the games, obviously. Like, I just loved it because of my nonno was watching, was trying to teach me. I was trying to learning at that point, because I had players like, Stankovic, and, I love Stankovic. To me, I mean, I know he's at Sampdoria now, and he played for Inter, but I mean, all these great players that we see before, like, not most of them, but a good number of them played for Lazio, right? So, yeah, no, I did have a Lazio back then, but that kind of, what grabbed me in a spiritual way was that game. But yeah, that love was back then when they won the Scudetto and everything like that. But just when they say like that love that really actually grabbed me, if that makes sense, was that game. Because being in that moment and understanding firsthand is like, okay, now I understand, in a first person view, why the love for this club. I mean, even look at when they do the ritual with Aquila, flying around and everything. I'm like, okay, now this is the real business, Then now I understand 120% the love for this club, right? So, but yeah, no, it definitely, the love was before, for that time as well, for sure.
And the stadium at the Olimpico, it's a beautiful thing, right? Myself and Nicholas were lucky enough to go before the pandemic in 2019. We caught Lazio Juve, and that was obviously a big game on any year. That's a big game, right? Those two clubs battling it out, and at the Olimpico, all the fans. I mean, it's a real. They really come out in numbers for both Roman clubs. Obviously, we're speaking about Lazio tonight, but. Just a beautiful atmosphere, and I feel like those moments when you're actually at the stadium, it's like a dream come true, once in a lifetime. Even though you might go back again, you get those same shivers the next time you go, and those will always be cherished moments. So Fernando, let's kind of segue into current Lazio. If we can, and obviously, I'll go, I guess, a bit backward in terms of last season. Obviously, Maurizio Sarri coming in. So this is a new Lazio we're seeing, and it's an impressive Lazio that we're seeing. A Lazio that's kind of making waves this season, year 2 under Sarri, and a lot of good things are happening. Obviously, we got the news of Ciro Immobile getting injured, and this past weekend, and obviously the 0-0 draw against Udinese. The Europa League's kind of been at a standstill as well. What have you made of the these opening 9-10 games of the season, and just was this where you thought they would be? Is this the team that you thought they would become this early in the season?
I was a little surprised at first, because Sarri, second season. The guy still needs some more time, but it's the time that he has now, second season. I'm really impressed of what he's done with the team. Everything from the formation, bringing in some fresh faces, even from the back. I noticed. Yeah. Like, again, there's nothing we could have done last season. He didn't really have too much control coming in, but we had Nonno Pepe Reina between the sticks. Like, it's like, come on, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Inzaghi was just really, and then we had Spreaker too, but Spreaker mentally was gone for Lazio in I don't know how many seasons. He was just gone. Felt like he didn't really care, that's why we didn't see a lot of him. Yes, he was injured a lot as well too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm loving the formation. I hated Inzaghi's 3-5-2. I hate that formation. It's Gasparini's formation too. I'm just glad that Sadi's here. Inzaghi, for me, I wasn't really a big fan of Inzaghi to begin with. Just a number of reasons. But yeah, no, I am impressed. I mean, it's first time in their history that they won, 3 games in a row with 4 goals, right? I mean, this is a Lazio where it's a new identity. I mean, we have Luis Alberto that he's happy. I mean, before he was talks about him going to Sevilla, Milan. Savic was kind of on the rocks. We don't know if he was going to leave, stay. And now we got Immobile that obviously is injured, but we're always getting the most out of him, right? So yeah, I've been impressed and a little surprised of where Lazio's at. For me, to be honest, Europa League write-off. It's a write-off. I don't care if we meet, and I'm really disappointed to say that because I've always wanted Lazio to go farther and deep into Europa, but for some reason, doesn't matter who the coach is, we can't find our stride in Europa League, and I'm willing to accept that for now. But at some point, we have to kind of push deeper in that Europa League for sure.
And as a Napoli fan, I trust me, like Sadi's system, when it works, it's beautiful. It does take its time. He does need certain players to make it work. But I mean, it's starting to, as you can see, the investment is starting to return some dividends on it. One player that last time Nick, Adrian, I, and a couple of other friends gathered, one player that's been really standing out a lot this year is Provedel. He's always been that player that, especially during the Empoli days, where like you always knew that, okay, he's a decent keeper. He's obviously played on Empoli, so it doesn't really help out his case. But you always wondered, does he have what it takes to, when he plays on let's say a bigger team, to produce at that higher level, or is he just really like one of those minor team type of keepers? Honestly, he's surprised a lot of us. What about you? What's your honest take about Provedel? Is he living up to expectations? Is he surpassing them? Like, well, how do you feel about Provedel?
No, I think he's surpassing him because I think Maxi, was going to be the guy, right?
Yeah.
And then I heard about Provedel. I said, oh wow, like okay, cool. Like I was like, man, okay, that's good. We're adding more depth youth in the keeper situation, which is perfect. And then yeah, he blew me away. Like he's very he's very alert, very awake, he's not scared to kind of go forward and sense with his body and everything like that. So yeah, definitely surprised me. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully he can kind of be our guy between the sticks. Because like I said, I was a big fan of our older guys between the sticks. So I'm very happy with him for sure, most definitely.
We did get a question about the goalie situation. Just give me a second. I just need to pull it up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that was a question. That was just me asking honestly. But all right, looks like we got 2 points on one stone.
Provedel, yeah, Provedel's been good though.
Yeah,
we said it last week as well. So
yeah.
It was from Gianmarco. We had him on last week. Gianmarco Sauce GMP on Twitter. I said Luis Maximiano would be the breakout signing of the summer. Will he ever get the goal back? So do you think this is basically Provedel's job to lose? Do you think I know there's some games left before the World Cup break and after the World Cup break, depending where Lazio's playing Europe, it might not be the busiest schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think? Is that going to be that situation? Do you think there's a rotation, or is just Provedel's job to lose?
At some point, like there's got to be some rotation there. I mean, to kind of spend, what was it, 10.5 for Maxi there? I mean, you got to, at some point, yeah, he probably is going to lose maybe his spot. Maybe there's going to be a rotation. Who knows? But again, there's got to be someone's got to give in that kind of situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think Patty, our boy, I think he's either the guy. Which again, I didn't expect that. I thought Maxi was going to be our number one and stuff like that. But at some point, Sadi's going to kind of sit down and be like, okay, you know what? let me give this guy a break. Let me get Maxi his kind of rhythm again, and stuff like that. It'd be a shame to spend that money and just let this guy, warm up the bench. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
But even, having that 1A, 1B type of, we've said it, just the three of us or with our other cultural friends in the community, or just on the podcast as well, just having that steady rotation at the goalkeeping position, which, sometimes is needed, I guess there's not many mercatos that you see that you bring in two keepers. I was surprised that they did, right? Like you said, Fernando. But, Provedel, I said it last week, was kind of like my MVP of the week last week, and just I think merited. Like he's cool, calm, collected. In the goal, he can play with his feet. He's a big body as well. So listen, this is a step forward for him. I think it's a good problem to have. I think when you have these hopefully two capable keepers, because Maximiano, we haven't really seen much. We saw his blunder at the beginning of the season, kind of lost his job, and we're waiting to see what else we can get from him. But if it be in SerieA, if it be in Europe, if it be in Coppa Italia, once that starts again, I think eventually we will have almost no choice but to see Maximiano and Provedel kind of rotate. Kind of wanted to go into the game. Before we came on, we kind of said about the Udinese game, but I think that was one of the games of the weekend. I was, in my personal opinion. I mean, Udinese has been hot. Lazio's been hot. Two teams that maybe turned some heads to open the SerieA season. I guess maybe, Fernando, give your thoughts maybe before the game, what you expected. Obviously, how the game went. It was a 0-0 draw, not to living to everybody's expectations, but just give us your thoughts on Lazio's play, your overall thoughts of how the game went.
Yeah, it was very back and forth, scrappy. I mean, obviously, Udinese I think we had a couple more shots and 12 shots versus our 8 shots. But again, very back and forth. Udinese loved the woodwork, loved the posts. So I was kind of breath of fresh air seeing that off the bar and shit and stuff like that. I was like, oh, thank God. If you would have talked to me about this a year ago and grabbing that point, I would have been very upset as a Lazio fan. I would have been disappointed. But now, seeing how Udinese, how they are, I'm happy. I'm happy with I'll take the point. I'll take the point because you can see Lazio were kind of like, okay, this isn't the same Udinese. We've heard about them. Let's face them. And now that they did, it's like, okay, no, they're very much attack, and they were kind of like at times, right, little wobbly at times. But again, I'm glad. Obviously, I'm not happy about facing Udinese and then Atlanta. They're hot, right? A different Atlanta side that's more defensively. They're not scoring 3-4 goals a game. They are winning games with the one goal here and there, but and again, like you guys mentioned, Immobile being injured. So happy about the game though. Like I said, getting that tie, that result was I was happy about that. I was satisfied about that for sure. Obviously, a win would have been better. 3 points would have been better, but I'd take the tie for sure. See how Udinese, how hot they are right now.